Y'all, it wouldn't be one of Beth's work journal setups if I hadn't rebooted the entire thing again. Again! Hey y'all, welcome back to Dots and Beyond. My name is Beth and this is the 2022 setup for my work bullet journal. For a little bit of context, I am an event manager by trade. That is my day job, while Dots and Beyond is my fun job. And I have changed my work bullet journal system several times over the course of the last year. I started off very much following the same system that I use in my personal journal in January of 2021. I completely rebooted that for my mid-year July setup of 2021, paring things back, bringing it back a little more minimal, a little more functional, some very specific dashboards. And then I got a new job in September of 21 and I sort of rebooted things again. And then I've been very much in trial and error, still as an event manager, but working for a different organization, and how this journal is going to work for me. So we are going to crack this open. I was going to set it up on camera, but I found myself getting deeper and deeper into it. It was getting longer and longer. And so I've decided to just show you what I've done here. And we're going to talk about how, now that it's set up, why I think it might not work for me, because things don't always go to plan. But let's go ahead and take a look. This is an Archer and Olive journal. It is the Secret Keeper's journal with these gold keys on the front and has plenty of pages in here with bright white paper. I don't do a lot of heavy art in here. I have used some stencils and that is about it for this setup. So in the front cover, I have, again, used a stencil for my name. Now, stencils came up in my last video because I did mention that I use a variety of them and I'm not sure where they all come from. I can tell you where this font came from, just like the one in the last one. I bought a 12-pack of lettering stencils from Amazon for about $14 maybe. So this one came in that 14-pack. Again, it came up as a question in my last video, so I'm going to go ahead and link this specific stencil pack down below so that you can get this and any other fonts. And if you watched the giveaway journal reveal that I did in early December, then you would have seen a lot of different fonts that came from those stencils, because I used this a lot in, or these stencil packs a lot in that specific journal. So again, I'll link this down below. But otherwise, my crown stencil, and then I used a key stencil from several different locations, have all come in the back of various journals that I have gotten over the years, especially the early journals that I got. So I can't really specify exactly where some of those came from. But I have put my key, I've tapped it here into the front cover. My key, of course, for my work journal is similar to my personal with some modifiers. So I have task, progress, complete, scheduled, meeting, event, note, deadline, research, and idea. And then my big signifiers when I am trying to prioritize my tasks are must, might, migrate, modify, and omit. So you're welcome to steal those if you want to use those. They work for me. That doesn't necessarily mean they will work for you. But I adopted those mid-year and they've been working great for me. And then of course I have my name and I'm going to put my phone number and my email here because this is my work journal, so that if somebody finds it laying around the workplace, they know who to bring it to. I have glued these first two pages together as I always do, just because this one does not lay flat. I've already done that. And then here is my very simple 2022 cover page, again with these key stencils and just a gold Uniball gel pen. Everything else is done in black with the Pigma Microns. Very simple setup. Turning to the next page, I have my values, which I always like to keep with me. My personal values are lead with respect, listen and observe, nurture relationships, own my actions, find and fulfill the gap, and embrace change. And alongside those are the corresponding values for my corporation, and I think they line up nicely, so I like to keep them together. And then I always put in my Myers-Briggs personality type in my journal. It's been in my setups in various forms before. I am an ENTJ, which is the commander, E for extroversion, N for intuition, T for thinking, and J for judging. And this I put in mainly to remind myself that not all of my coworkers have the same sort of commanding or overbearing personality that I can have. I tend to come into places and just sort of take things over and take initiative. And I sometimes have to rein myself in, but I do like to have that in there just to remind myself of those personality traits. Here on the left is a simple spread just to track continuing education hours for my certified meeting professional certification. On the right, I always have a podcast going of some kind that is work related. Right now, that podcast is Work Life with Adam Grant. I do have some of these that I need to fill in as I have been bouncing around. I've not been listening to this podcast completely in order, so I do need to come along and put those in. And it's been important enough, or I've gleaned enough information out of it, that I've left myself a place for notes for some of the future episodes that I am going to listen to. And if you happen to hear some craziness in the background, the Dots and Beyond felines, Faramir and Eowyn, have chosen, of course, this very moment to completely lose their minds. So you may hear them racing around the carpet, bouncing off the walls, doing what cats do when they decide to go crazy. But we will just keep going on. Next up is my future log. I have condensed this down to one spread instead of a double spread for 6 months and 6 months. And the reason being is that the only thing that is going to go in my future log are things like client appointments. Recurring meetings from work, those sorts of things are just going to stay on my Outlook calendar, but I will put upcoming appointments for my clients on this calendar. And in my digital calendar, I'll keep them in both places. And this is where things are really going to deviate and take a turn. So here I have gone ahead and set up January. Just go ahead and ignore the little pencil circles here. I'll bring those up later. But I have set up 6 full months of dashboards for my journal, starting with a calendar view for every month. The calendar view is where I will actually put my events. When I look at just event dates without them being on a calendar view, I tend to forget those that are going to overlap, where my days are going to be really stretched thin. Say I have an event going out on the 9th, and then I have an event coming in on the 8th or the 9th, and I've got a little bit of an overlap. That's when I really need to be hyper aware of what my schedule is going to kind of look like on those days. So I do like having a calendar grid for my events, and that's what this is for. Behind every month, I have a place where I can list the events that I have for the month. So even if I am just 1 month out and I get a new event that's coming in less than 30 days or less than 45 days, I'll go ahead and list it here just so I can at a glance see everything I have in that month in one go. Even if the dates get out of order, that's okay. To the right of that page, I have 4 mini project task boards for events that don't take a lot of effort. A one-day meeting or a half-day meeting with 20 people in a boardroom, those sorts of things that don't necessarily take a lot of effort. Those are not the bulk of my events. They're very few and far between because I do focus far more on very large social events, fundraisers, galas, things that take a lot more planning than what this little bitty space will allow me. Following this page, I have 6, so this is 2, and then I'll have 2 more full spreads of a full dashboard for larger events. And I may need some more space. These may need to be front and back, but this is a good starting point for me, where if a client calls and I'm on the go and I'm not near my computer or all of my work details, I can always have this with me. So this has the event, the dates, some data for it, contact, a task list, roadblocks for the event, as well as solutions, because a great event manager is one who can solve a problem before it happens, notes, and then a small area for review. And the other thing that I can use this for is that when I get to my daily pages, which I'll show you momentarily, if I have a client meeting on that day, I'm going to go ahead and number the daily pages. And then here in the notes, I can almost use this like an index. So if I have 1, 2, 3 gala, and then I have a meeting back here farther on, I can come in and just put any of the page numbers for any time that I've met with the client, talked to the client, discuss something important that I might need to reference, or if I just need to get that data into a computer at a later time, I can find it where I have written it down in person and then get it into a digital system so that if somebody else comes along, or if I were hit by a bus, somebody else would be able to find that information so the client does not have to reiterate it. So again, there are 6 of these. I should not have more than 6 large events in a month, theoretically. Again, we are still short-staffed with pandemic staffing. A lot of institutional memory walked out the door and chose not to come back, which is completely understandable. The event industry was hit very, very hard with the pandemic, and some individuals have moved on to what are considered safer jobs that, were still held throughout the pandemic. So after that January, we have the full setup again. February, the same dashboard and the same event pages. So I am going to go ahead and jump back here. Oh, there's April, May, there we go, and June. And then we're going to move into the daily pages. And to do that, I have put this "Nevertheless, she persisted" quote, which is always going to be one of my favorites. And boy, do I say this to myself a multitude of times a day now. It's just sort of become a mantra. And then I have the daily pages, and I will set up a quick dashboard. This is what my dashboard currently looks like beginning Monday, January 3rd, which happens to be a holiday for us since the first New Year falls on a Saturday. We do have a holiday the following Monday. So what I will have is the week number, the dates of the week, a quote for myself to encourage myself that week. The quote for next week is, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated," by the incomparable Maya Angelou. And then I have all 7 days down the left side for small things that I need to put in. Most of my deadlines now at this new organization fall on a Tuesday or Wednesday, so I have put deadlines opposite the Tuesday or Wednesday, and then a space for a small rolling task list, although I do think I'm going to mainly rely on daily journaling with the classic bullet journal method. Here on the right, I do have my event waiting on list. This is something that I've had in my journal now since July. It has become a lifesaver for me because sometimes you don't get a deadline put in a computer and you don't realize that you're still waiting on something like a signed contract or for a client to give you their menu, all of those sorts of things that you can be waiting on in the event industry, approvals from directors. There's a whole long list, and I'm always waiting on something, and I typically fill this page in a week. It takes up a lot of space every week when I go to check and see what am I still waiting on. And then behind the waiting on list, again, like I said, we will start with Monday, January 3rd. I am going to go ahead and number these pages. I have not done that yet, but I'll number them across the bottom so that I can use these like an index on my event pages as well. And that leaves me still plenty of space to take daily notes, meetings with clients, and that sort of a thing. Now let's talk about why I think, now that this whole thing is set up and ready to go, why it might not work for me. And what I have begun to realize is that I like the idea of having the months at the beginning. Never thought I would want a journal with the full months at the beginning, and here I've gone and set one up, but I think it's going to be great. I think I actually need the whole year, and I think I need more space. And to do that, it's either buy a larger journal or move myself into a ring-bound journal where I can add the number of pages for project management pages or event management pages that I need. Or if my waiting on list gets really lengthy one week, I can just stick in another page. And I have always hated ring-bound journals. They're not, or planners, they're not necessarily what I gravitate to. That's why I gravitate to the bullet journal system. But with this new job, I'm thinking I might have to go that way. So for now, we are going to stick with this journal, at least give it a shot for January or February. And if I start finding out that this doesn't work for me, well, you guys are going to be the first to know because I'm going to come back and tell you about it. Now, the one thing I have done is left myself a little bit of space in the journal for some art or inspiration, and it's mainly just going to be black and white and gold and shapes. So I have already put a whole bunch of circles on this page. To do that, I have used my circle template here, which I can't seem to pick up. Here you go, my Staedtler circle maker. I love this thing, or Helix circle maker. I also have a Staedtler circle template, which is close by. Let me grab that. So this is well between my circle makers. And I will just color those in black and white. I will go ahead and put a few up here as well, just to kind of tie in some kind of little graphic element for a theme, and separate one month from the next. So my next step in this journal is to go ahead and get those circles colored in. And that is my work journal for 2022. Let me know in the comments below if any of these dashboards could possibly help you, if you want me to go into more detail on them. I also am testing out some Notion pages along with my work schedule or work notebook. So let me know if you'd be interested in those. I've talked about Notion before. I'm not really ready to do a full Notion tour yet. I do use it for quite a bit actually now. I do keep my main planning in my bullet journal, but I've moved a lot of sort of tracking, mental health tracking, that sort of a thing into Notion, where I'm far more comfortable with it being in a digital space where I can access it from my phone, from my laptop, from my desktop. And so I am considering getting a Notion tour up fairly soon, but it's one of those things that's just not quite perfected yet. So thank you so much for tuning in for this January and 2022 setup. I will not be doing a work journal video every month. I do have some other things in the pipeline to fill that little hole in my schedule calendar. I'll be doing setups for my son's bullet journal, which for 2021 was a surprise journal, but now he is giving me input on what he wants me to set up each month. So there will be that coming, as well as some other surprises as far as bullet journal content. So stay tuned. Please subscribe if you have not done so already. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.